Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another Logan Blackman Show Gold Cup preview for the United States men's national team, who are coming off a 1-1 draw. Just shook the entire table. Coming off a 1-1 draw against Jamaica on Saturday in Chicago. Not the greatest game the United States could have played in that game. Very well played game by Jamaica, at least early on in that game. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But first off, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that tuned in for the first Logan Blackman Show video covering the Gold Cup for 2023. That video has surpassed over 2,300 views. I greatly appreciate that. I mean that. I greatly appreciate everybody that's tuned in to watch that. Thank you to everybody that's subscribed as well. We have gained about 20-something subscribers since that video got released. So again, thank you to everybody that tuned into that video. And I hope that this video garners somewhat similar. So I'm not expecting it to go like supernova or anything, or expecting to be anywhere similar, but I just appreciate everybody that's watched that. And also thank you for the like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 people that watched the Guyana video back from 2019, because that video has been stuck on like 990 views for like since the video got released. I remember I got a text from one of my friends about that video when we made it, about how that video just randomly popped off, because that video was kind of made just on a whim. And I think you can kind of tell watching that video back anyways. But thank you to everybody that's tuned in those videos. Thanks for everybody that's subscribed. And yeah, we're excited to bring you another one. I'm really excited to bring you another one. This one for the United States against St. Kitts in Nevis, the smallest country in the Western Hemisphere with a population of about 50,000 people. This is their first ever Gold Cup, but again, we'll get to them in a little bit. We'll go over some of their better players, some people to look out for, their last result in their game against Trinidad and Tobago, which took place today. Again, we'll get all to that shortly, but we got to talk about this United States versus Jamaica game. This was not a great game for the United States. So they went down early. They went down very early. Damian Lowe got a nice little headed ball in from a Damari Gray free kick. James Sands foul on Leon Bailey led to the Damari Gray free kick, who was extremely lively early on in the game. Damari Gray looked very good in his first Jamaican game, and they played that front three as we expected, with Damari Gray coming off the left, with Mikel Antonio in the middle, and Leon Bailey coming off the right. It was an electric front, especially with Bailey and freaking Damari Gray. There was one play during the game, Leon Bailey stole the ball from Aiden Morris and just made him look freaking silly. Made DeAndre Yedlin look silly after that, and then DeAndre Yedlin, out of frustration, just ended up pushing the Aston Villa winger over, and it was just... It was impressive stuff. It was impressive, not as a United States fan, but for that first goal, Damian Lowe, man, that dude had a very eventful, like, first 10 minutes of the game. So he gets a yellow card early on, and then he makes a tackle a few minutes later, like at the 7-9 minute mark, and then people are like, oh, he could have gotten a red card. They got kind of lucky. I'm not saying he deserved a red card, but, you know, you make tackles like that on a yellow, you're running on a short leash there, but... yeah, didn't get sent off or anything, didn't warrant a yellow card or even a red card for that tackle, and then ends up scoring the goal anyways. And it was kind of like, man, Jamaica have kind of been dominating this game so far. Jamaica have been the better team. The United States was relatively toothless going forward. It was just a very... I don't know how you want to describe what happened in that first half or that game in general. It was just a very monotonous, not a lot going on. It felt like we were going back to the Greg Berhalter era, and there was some rumblings. I don't know how true these are, but you know, you get these kind of things with the United States fans on Twitter going back and forth without conspiracy theories and stuff like that. There was a conspiracy theory going around that BJ Callahan wanted to play the likes of Brian Reynolds. He wanted to play the likes of DeJuan Jones. He wanted to play Jalen Neal, but instead we had, Jordy Mihailovic. And instead we got the lineup that proceeded to have John Tolkien, DeAndre Yedlin, and Alan Sonora. So no, I did this last time. Sonora, who did not have the greatest game. I saw some people on Twitter also comparing him to Joe Corona, saying he's the next Joe Corona. We're not going to go to that. We're not going to go that far. We're not going to go that far. But the set pieces from Alan Sonora in that game were just not great. It felt like every single set piece he took in that first half hit the first man. Whether it was a corner, whether it was a free kick, whatever it was, it just didn't really click for him in that game. It was a relatively forgetful game for Alan Sonora in that game, but hopefully he improves on that this tournament. I don't know if we'll see him start this next game given that performance, but you could say that about a lot of the players for the United States men's national team in this game against Jamaica. No one really covered themselves in a lot of glory apart from Matt Turner. Matt Turner saved a penalty, and I saw this on Twitter this morning, and it said something along the lines of, Matt Turner's faced 6 penalties. Only 2 have gotten past him. And Leon Bailey had a chance at a penalty shot, took the penalty, And this was another foul, I mean, obviously. But Aiden Morris, James Sands' midfield partner, he's talked about James Sands fouling Leon Bailey earlier. Aiden Morris committed the foul in the box with a high kick. Leon Bailey steps up to take the penalty. Not a great penalty. Well read by Matt Turner. Dove right away. Not in the corner or anything. Relatively easy save. And then on the follow-through, Leon Bailey, for those of you unaware, is... hold on. Okay, for those of you unaware, Leon Bailey is left-footed, as you saw. I'm sure you noticed as he was running up to take the penalty. But on the rebound, he tried to take it with his weaker right foot, was kind of off balance, and kind of just rolled it past the goal. It was a wide-open net. Matt Turner couldn't do anything about it. It was kind of like, well, it's either going in or it's not. And it's not going to be me saving it. It's just going to be Leon Bailey missing it. And again, weak foot, off balance, still. With a goal that wide open, you've got to at least get it on target, which it wasn't even that. So I think for a player Leon Bailey's level, you would expect him to at least put it on target for that and hope a United States player makes a save. Because when it happened live, I thought he scored. Matt Turner just looked at it helplessly because there's nothing he can do. He made a great save on the penalty. Ball rebounds back, deflects right back to him, and he just sends it wide. Got lucky there. And as the as the first half started to end, the United States started to ramp up the tempo a tiny bit, but nothing that was really warranting like, man, we're going to have a goal here. I mean, one thing that I would say about the United States going forward, at least in the first half and early on in the second half, is that those crosses into the box do not work when you have a 5'8" striker and Jamaica's tallest center back, Damian Lowe, is 6'3". Like, you're not getting any ball. Why are you trying to cross balls in the box when you don't have guys with the facilities to either head the balls in or at least redirect them? Like, it didn't really make any sense from that scenario. So they weren't winning on any headed chances, really, in the attacking front. Nothing was working. Absolutely nothing was working. But, like, out of the players in the outfield, apart from Matt Turner again, Jesus Ferreira was probably the best player in that first half. Probably. And I'm not really even saying anything like it was anything crazy. It was just he was the best of a bad bunch, essentially. Like Aaron Long and Matt Miazga. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Aaron Long got subbed off at halftime. They said it was some tightness in, I think, his quad or his back or something. He had a headband on from a head collision, I guess he had when he was playing with LAFC. I'm just tired of seeing Matt Miazga and Aaron Long. And people were saying it on social media. I don't know how Aaron Long still gets called to the national team. We said in the last video some coaches still consider him to be the ball-playing center back for the United States. I don't know what they're watching. I know he's supposed to be that, but he's just not that. And I understand why Matt Miazga started. We stated this in the preview for our last video. If Robinson was still injured, which it turns out he was, he won't be back till probably the third game, which is smart. I wouldn't risk him in this game. I would not risk him in this game at all, and we'll get to the lineups there in a little bit. But Miazga was there for the physicality. Jamaica's got Mikel Antonio is one of the more physical players, not just in Concacaf, but in the Premier League as well. Very physical striker, can, again, run all over the place, is a very high motor. But they said a quote during the broadcast that Matt Miazga felt disrespected for not going to the World Cup. What planet's he on? What planet is Matt Miazga on? Like, Aaron Long should be lucky that he went to... Maybe it's that he felt disrespected because Aaron Long was going to the World Cup. But not because he should have gone to the World Cup. No, let's not get anything twisted. This isn't 10 years ago. Or 6 years ago. However long it was when Matt Miazga was playing at New York Red Bulls. And everybody's like, oh, this could be the next great American center back when he was on the move to Chelsea. No, we're not at that point anymore. Matt Miazga, I don't even know if you consider him a top 10 center back for the United States has at their disposal. I don't even know if you put Aaron Long in that category either. I don't know if you put either one of them in that category. So when Miles Robinson's healthy, we need to see a center back partnership of Miles Robinson and Jalen Neal. That's it. We're talking about from an athletic standpoint, and not just even an athletic standpoint, just from an overall playing standpoint. Both of them are better than Matt Miazga and Aaron Long. I'm done with Aaron Long. I'm done with it. I'm ready to move on. Greg Berhalter likes him, which is why he's in the squad, I would imagine. I don't know why he's here. I really don't. It confuses me to this day. Same for Matt Miazga, and some could be said for DeAndre Yedlin, who I don't really think had a bad game. But again, he was one of the better players, I guess, just because the rest of the team wasn't playing very good. He got nominated for man of the match. I don't know how he managed to swindle that one, but he was not. But again, I guess it was just a situation where no one was playing very good. It was just a situation of that. Aiden Morris didn't really do anything in the game. Jordan Morris didn't do anything throughout the game. We already talked about Alan Sonora in the game, didn't really do anything. Alejandro Sendejas had a couple moments, but nothing really to write home about. Again, Jesus Ferreira was the best player in the outfield that game. James Sands played all right after the foul that he had on Liam Bailey, which, of course, again, led to the goal by Lowe, which we talked about before. But he had a relatively decent game. John Tolkien didn't really do... He didn't add anything. Apart from the flow, he didn't really do a whole lot in that game. It was just a not very fun, borderline unwatchable first half from a United States men's national team standpoint. As for Jamaica, again, they played awesome. They had a great first half. Like, they were really threatening. They were playing fun. Like, it was a great first half for them. For the United States, they need to play better. In the second half, they started to go on the attack a little more. Jamaica kind of sat back a little bit, which was a good thing for the United States, who needed them to sit back so they could try to build up a little bit. And you saw players like Christian Roldan come on, Jordy Mihailovic come on. You saw Cade Cowell come on. Those three subs made a massive difference for the United States in the second half. Jordan Morris, I think, got subbed off in like the 50th minute or something, or 55th minute around there. And Cade Cowell was, in his first touch, was better than Jordan Morris was the entire half he played. And Jalen Neal, we talked about that before. Jalen Neal coming on at halftime, he was the best defender the United States had coming on at that point. So it was like those first four substitutes at half, or in the second half, made all the difference to the United States going forward. And then Brandon Vasquez coming in late for John Tolkien, which, what kind of wonky-ass formation was that? We had a back four at one point that consisted, and this was not, I would be willing to bet, this was not on anybody's bingo card going into this game, that we see a back four of Christian Roldan at right back, Miazga and Jalen Neal at center back, and DeAndre Yedlin at left back. I don't know who the hell would have seen that coming, because I sure as hell didn't. And we had Aiden Morris and James Sands in midfield. We had Ferreira drifting off to the right. Mihailovic was kind of rotating around the middle. You had Cade Cowell off the left and Brandon Vasquez in the middle. And Vasquez gets the goal late. Didn't play a whole lot. Didn't start the game like we thought he would. And winds up with the goal. Jesus Ferreira had a nice little toss into the box. Got played out. Got parried out. And Brandon Vasquez was there as a striker. You got to be in the right positions as a striker. Like, people look at all the fancy goals some strikers score, but the main thing about being a striker is just being in the right place at the right time. Just put it on target, and it'll go in, and Brandon Vasquez scored. So the United States escaped with a 1-1 draw. And I don't want to go down the route of saying that this game, it feels like a win, because it didn't. Nothing about this game felt like a win. They got lucky with a draw. It doesn't feel like a win, though. We said that I could see the United States getting a second goal when we were doing the preview. We said it could be 2-1. But for the most part, we felt it was going to be a 1-1 game, which it ended up being. But man, I think the United States will play at least somewhat better. And I know there's the whole thing about this team's been together for like 4 days or whatever. But Jamaica, this squad, I mean, they had their games last week. But this exact squad has not been together for the most part. Like Damari Gray's first time with the team. Mikel Antonio's only played, I think this is his 8th game with the team. Like, some of these players haven't played together with the Jamaican national team. I know this is a newer group for the United States, but man, and there's bound to be, you know, some sort of lull with that change of schedule. You go from the Nations League to this with a whole new schedule. BJ Callahan has had 2 games with one team and had another game with another, like completely different team. Like you could say this is a B team. Some might even say this is a C team comparatively. So lucky to escape with a draw. As for St. Kitts and Nevis, they had a pretty forgettable game, a wet, moist, I guess you could say, game against Trinidad and Tobago. They lost the game 3-0. Not great. Not great. The first goal, fell asleep. Absolutely fell asleep. Alvin Jones drifted through the back line. DeAndre Yedlin, again, we bring up Yedlin, did have some nice runs down that right side early in the game, but players like Sonora wouldn't find him on that outside spot, so never really got to take advantage of that. That's neither here nor there, but Alvin Jones scored the goal, chested it down, took it on the half volley. Very nice goal. Second goal, dribbled through the entire defense, essentially. Took it from just outside the box or right at the line of the box, slotted it past Archibald, 2-0, and the third goal, just slammed it off the defender's leg. Absolutely just slammed it off the defender's leg, bounced it into the goal. Kind of just rifled it across the box, slammed off the defender's leg, went in the goal. Could have been 4-0. Could have been 4-0. Well, it was 2-0, going back a little bit. They scored a headed goal. I think it was from a corner. Scored a headed goal, got called off. 2 hands on the back push, relatively weak, but by the letter of the law, I guess, it was a foul. So it really could have been 4-0. It was not a great game. Again, this is their first ever trip to the Gold Cup. There's going to be some, trials and tribulations in this game. It's your first ever time. Trinidad and Tobago are only here because Nicaragua withdrew from there, got kicked out of the tournament. So it's not a great look to get beat by a team who was just last-minute replacement for this squad, for this tournament, but they are much higher rated in the FIFA World Rankings than St. Kitts and Nevis are. Depending on how you want to look at the FIFA World Rankings, I don't really take a whole lot into them, but it's just for conversation, I guess you could say. And for St. Kitts and Nevis, they've got some important things. Again, for a team that just lost 3-0, they do have some decent players in the team, like Romain Sawyer's probably the best player in the squad. He's got like 30-something caps for the team. He's their on-the-ball midfielder, essentially. He's the guy that just wants the ball at his feet at all times. Led the team in touches against Trinidad and Tobago. He's their joint top goal scorer in the squad with Keith Roy Freeman with 6 goals. Keith Roy Freeman, a decent amount of caps less than Romain Sawyer's. Didn't really have a lot to work with in this game against Trinidad and Tobago. He's got 2 goals in 2023, along with Taquani Williams, who's a young player, 21 years old. One of the more creative players in this team, if not the most creative player in the team. Created the most chances in the game. And then you've got Jelani Archibald, the captain. He's the most capped player in this squad, or at least in the squad that played against Trinidad and Tobago. He's the captain of the team. Gerard Williams did not make an appearance in this game. Wasn't even in the squad for the game. He leads the team in his caps. The 35-year-old has 79 caps, and they could use it. I don't know what's exactly wrong with Gerard Williams. I haven't seen anything. I did a lot of searching trying to find something, what happened, why he wasn't in the squad. I'm not 100% aware. So if any St. Kitts and Nevis fans out there could tell me what happened or why he wasn't in the squad, if it was a personal reason or if it was sickness, injury, whatever, why he wasn't in the squad, I would greatly appreciate that because they need him. Because the St. Kitts and Nevis defense absolutely got found out. We talk about them falling asleep for the first goal. We talk about them getting absolutely dribbled through for the second goal. We talk about the own goal, which came later in the game. Like all these different things, the United States has to take advantage of this. They have to take advantage of this. There's no reason for them not to score 6 goals in this game. I'm not saying that's what the okay, hold up. Wait a minute. I got to rephrase that because of the fact I don't want to make it sound like this, because this United States team, I struggle to think they could score more than 1 goal in a game. Just based off what we saw against Jamaica. I know there's a massive step down from Jamaica to St. Kitts and Nevis. No disrespect. I mean no disrespect by that, but they don't have any players like Mikel Antonio, Damari Gray, Bobby Reed, Leon Bailey. They don't have players like that. Andre Blake and Ned as well. They just don't have players like that. And that's not me being mean or anything. That's just stating the facts here. So the United States should be able to score more than 1 goal, but that game was so bad. Like, for what we were expecting, and I say this because I said a 1-1 draw, but the performance was just so much worse than what I was expecting. So going into this game, I do expect the United States to make some changes going into this because of that. This is a game that, again, you should be winning easily. Again, no, I mean no offense by this, but this is a game you should be winning easy. As the United States, you need to have performances. You just put this game to bed. You saw that in the last Gold Cup against Martinique. They put 6 or 7 goals past them. You need to have a performance like this. You're playing down in St. Louis. I think it's the first time they've been playing it. They played at this new stadium. Could be wrong. Maybe they had a game there that I'm not familiar with or just don't remember. But this is going to be a big moment. You're going to have to switch the lineup up a little bit just to get more creative. And this is a game we talked about in the last video with BJ Callahan playing purely off vibes for some of them. This is a vibes game. This could very much just be a vibes game, especially with the team that you put out there. You need to make some changes because there again, and it hurts me to think about this, that they could just have the mindset now that the likes of Cal, Mihailovic, Roldan, Vasquez, they came in and made an impact off the bench. So maybe they're like, hey, why don't we just keep bringing them off the bench? I don't want that to happen. I really don't want that to happen. And there's going to be players that get benched that maybe played better than, maybe don't deserve to get benched per se, but you just need to try something different because it was awful to watch. Now, we're going to go with the same formation, 4-2-3-1. I think that's, again, I think that's a formation BJ Callahan likes. So we're going to go with the 4-2-3-1. Maybe he'll shift into a 4-3-3 depending on, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But 4-2-3-1, Matt Turner net, simple enough. Was the captain in the last game. We didn't even say a captain in the game going into the game. But I would be surprised if Matt Turner wasn't the captain again. Maybe we see DeAndre Yedlin as captain because of the fact he's got 70, 80 caps to his name at this point. One of the more experienced players. God forbid Aaron Long's going to be captain again, because he's been captain a few times under Berhalter, so maybe he's captain here. Jesus Ferreira, maybe he's captain. Who the hell knows? But Captain Matt, on his birthday, saved a penalty. Best player on the team. So, yeah, I would expect him to... part of me is expecting to be captain again, but we'll see. At right back, kind of talked about this earlier, DeAndre Yedlin was... A lot of people, including myself, are kind of getting tired of seeing DeAndre Yedlin in the squad and want to see some new blood at right back to back up Serginho Dest. They have options, like Scally, we saw him against Mexico, and Brian Reynolds, who's very talented, big dude. Again, we talked about it last video. Big dude, 6'3" right back, completely different to that of DeAndre Yedlin, who's maybe 5'7", maybe. But given that this is a game the United States can hopefully afford to experiment in, I want to see Brian Reynolds start. I want to see Brian Reynolds play at right back. DeAndre Yedlin may very well start. Again, he may very well be the captain in this game. He's the captain for Inter Miami. Like, there's chances that he plays in this game and starts. He played the entire 90 minutes. Coaches like him. He's a consistent player for them, I guess. But I want to see Brian Reynolds play. In games like this, you play the young kids. That's what you want to see. You want to play the inexperienced players here. Brian Reynolds starting there. And then at left back, again, John Tolkien didn't do a lot wrong, but he didn't do a lot right. And just to see some new faces in there, I want to put DeJuan Jones at left back. Just to see something different. Again, a right-footed left back. Some people might have problems with that. Cam play right back. Cam obviously play left back. This is natural-ish. This is the position he lines up mostly in left back. But I just want to see something different. Let's just try it. He played Tolkien. Didn't do a lot wrong. Didn't do a lot right. Just try to get something else in there. And it could be a bad game to judge, because it's against a team you should have ease going against. Look, their defense is bad. You should be able to expose it a little bit, make some runs in. So maybe you play Tolkien 45 and you play Jones 45. Who knows? But I would go with DeJuan Jones early. But it's not an indictment, I guess, on Tolkien. Or maybe it is. Maybe it is. But let's start with Jones there. Center back partnership, I think it kind of picks itself because of the injuries. I wouldn't play Miles Robinson in this game. Even though there's a chance he could come back, I don't want to play him in this game. And you look at Aaron Long, who's also going off an injury. I would just go with Matt Miazga and Jalen Neal. Jalen Neal was the best defender the United States had when he got on the field. He only played 45 minutes, was the best defender they had. Looked very comfortable on the ball, looked miles more experienced than what he is, and given that he's only 19 years old, I would play him in this game. So just center back partnership of Miazga and Jalen Neal just based off injuries. If everybody was healthy, again, it would be Robinson and Neal. But not everybody's healthy. The other two center backs are hurt, so your cans are kind of tied, so you might just have to play Miazga and Neal. Center midfield, again, midfield too. I don't want to see Aiden Morris start this next game. This could be a situation like Jackson Ewell, where remember in the last Gold Cup, Jackson Ewell started that first game and barely played in the tournament after that. I'm not saying it's going to be exactly like that, but Aiden Morris didn't do a whole lot in this game. He did more wrong than right things in this game. We talked about the thing he did against getting schooled by Leon Bailey in the corner. We talked about the penalty. There's just not a lot he did in this game. There's not a lot. So I'm benching him. I'm keeping James Sands in there, because I think, again, apart from the foul and Leon Bailey, I thought he did all right, given the context of everybody else on the team. But I'm going to play Jordi Mihailovic next to him. And that's not his natural position. Jordi is a natural number 10, can play as number 8. But with James Sands there, James Sands very decently defensively sound, will shift back a little bit. So the formation will kind of turn, I guess. So you'll have James Sands here, Mihailovic will start next to him, and they'll kind of like switch like that. So it'll give Mihailovic more freedom to go forward, but he'll have to drop back some, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I would have him next to him. On the right wing, I would just keep Zendejas there. I think Zendejas is one of the more talented players the United States have at their disposal. Again, didn't do a whole lot in this game. He was one of the more expressive players in this game for the United States, I guess you could say. I would just keep him in. I like Alejandro Zendejas. Keep him there. At the number 10 position, Jesus Ferreira. We predicted it last time. Didn't happen. But I think that's where he'd be best served for this team. I think given the freedom... We talked about this going into last game too, where they had that fluid front line against Mexico in that 1-1 draw with Vasquez, Ferreira, Morris, and Cowell. Like, they all kind of rotated around. I think we can do that here, because Ferreira will drift off to the right. Once Vasquez came on, Ferreira started to drift a little bit more. Zendejas, against Jamaica, sometimes would cut inside. So you could have those two, Ferreira in the middle, start like this, Ferreira in the middle, Zendejas on the right, and they could have that freedom to rotate around that right side. And the left mid slot, he played so much better. And this is, I'm not surprised by this. I don't color me shocked here, because I wasn't shocked by this. Cade Cowell has to start. And again, they could do this stupid thing where, like, hey, Cowell came in and lit a spark under the team, so we'll only use him as a super sub type thing. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I want to see him start in this game. This is a game where you can experiment. If it doesn't work out, which I think it would, because he's a lot more skilled than Jordan Morris is, I would love to see Cade Cowell start here. And then up top, Brandon Vasquez. I think that one kind of picks itself. Maybe they won't do that because of the fact that, hey, we don't have any backup strikers now. You got your two strikers playing in the game in Ferreira and Vasquez, but with the way they're trying to play, at least the way they played against Jamaica, you need to have a big guy in there. Vasquez is much bigger than Jesus Ferreira. Again, we said Ferreira is 5'8", Vasquez is 6'2". And there's a big difference there. If you want to play, go down the line and cross the ball in the box, you need a striker that's bigger. In a defense like this, we talked about the headed goal that they had early on in the game, or later in the game against Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago scored the headed goal, they got pushed off. Vasquez should eat in this game, or could be eaten in this game. They have to rectify the performance of what they did against Jamaica. And it's crazy to say this after a 1-1 draw, but when you're the quote-unquote kings of Concacaf, you have to play better than that. You have to play better. You got lucky with a 1-1 draw. This is a game where you should probably win 4-5-0, really. I don't think Matt Turner should give up any goals. I don't think there should be a lot to fear. And this, we talk about Sawyers, we talk about Freeman, we talk about Taquani Williams. Like, they have players, like decent players, but it's not anything that I'm actually fearful of. Mitchum is another one who played midfield next to Sawyers in the game against Trinidad and Tobago. They have players that can go forward, that can create chances, but this shouldn't be a problem for the United States. At least I hope not. So again, here's the lineup. We got Matt Turner in net. I want to see Brian Reynolds at right back. Again, it could be DeAndre Yedlin. I want to see Brian Reynolds. Left back, DeJuan Jones. I don't think Tolkien did a lot wrong, but I want to see DeJuan Jones in that game. And then center backs, again, picks themselves. Matt Miazga, Jalen Neal. Would love to see that. Just kind of a switched up back four. I think that'd be fun to see. Midfield two of James Sands and Jordy Mihailovic. Just hope that they're aware enough to rotate around and have Ferreira at that 10 spot. So maybe Ferreira can drop back and sit as an 8. Maybe he can. He's versatile enough to do that. So maybe he can do that. Maybe he can play as a number 8 as well with Mihailovic, but I think that formation will just kind of shift a little bit. And then we'll have Zendejas on the right, Cade Cowell on the left, Brandon Vasquez on top, and again, I think the United States should win 4-5-0. That's what I'm expecting here. I could say more, but I'm not. It could be only 3-0. They have to score more than 2 goals in this game. They have to score more than 2 goals. If they don't score more than 2 goals in this game, I think it's cause for a little bit of worry. I think that's what we're going to have. That's the kind of levels we're going to be at this game. But whatever. I'm just open for a fun game. A more fun performance than what we saw against Jamaica. But Jamaica's a good team. I expect Jamaica to, hey, Jamaica might win this, win the freaking group. They might win the whole thing, really. I mean, Mexico had a good performance tonight against Honduras. They look a little bit better than what they have in recent games, beating Honduras 4-0. So maybe Mexico might be back as well. So we'll have to see. Gold Cup's just getting started, but it's a fun stuff. Again, thank you to everybody that watched the last video. Thank you again for those who have watched this video and gotten to this point. Make sure to watch the Logan Blackman Show on this YouTube channel. You can subscribe to the channel as well. Make sure to like the video if you did like it. If not, I sincerely apologize. But make sure to go follow the podcast, Logan Blackman Show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. All the links to that will be down in the description. All my social will be down there as well. And again, I've been Logan Blackman. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's go USA. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.